Regional news, highlights, school happenings, local politics. What's going on in your neighborhood? You're going to find out right now. You're listening to the 815 Hash Problems podcast. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Are you all right over there, Mr. DJ?
I was actually, I don't know, man. You're the remix master.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Hive on 325. I'm Jay Vee. That is.
We're at 325. So we're telling people our weights now. Okay. So
They already called us the Weight Watchers podcast, son.
That's awesome. Back live from the Hive.
We are.
There you go. We got a new toy in the Hive. This thing is great. The show's host, DJ with the most, Jay Vee. What's up, buddy?
Man, what a week it's been, right? So we weren't here for the week of the primary. Everyone was licking their wounds, and it's gotten crazier since then. And so I'm like, maybe we should take a week to collect our thoughts. We did. We know that there's some crazy stuff going on. We're not going to talk about that. We don't talk about it.
Well, we're gonna hint around it for sure.
Yeah. All I'm going to say to you is that freedom was attacked and freedom will be defended. But I will tell you this. We have a lot of good stuff.
Afro Man, shout out to you, by the way.
I need some lemon pound cake.
Oh my God, he's amazing.
So
it's on the internet.
the video within his home, man, when you show the cop and the pound cake that was right there,
that was hysterical.
I mean, you could not ask for anything funnier.
That's out of every Netflix series when you see cops raid, like in the Narco series.
Sure.
When they raid one of Escobar's old homes and they go in like at dinner time and like, well, you're not paying us, so we're gonna eat the food.
I love watching those old shows where like these guys go into like Pablo Escobar's old mansion or like what was his prison. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Back in the day, that's good stuff to watch on. I think it's like History Channel and shit like that. But
well, at this point, it's all either Netflix or Hulu, one of the two conglomerates.
It is. We have a lot.
It's been fun.
It has been fun.
It's
been a wild ride. They said we were going to go away after the primaries.
I learned somebody was a dude and not a woman.
Really?
Yeah.
Who?
I think he won one of the seats. No, really. Can I be real with you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can.
Until the ridiculous front page of that thing of 32 pages worth of you hurt my feelings. I didn't know this person was a dude because I looked up the name. I'm like, who is this lady? And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, it's the dude. Oh, my bad.
Right.
My bad. I had no idea.
I mean, he should govern himself accordingly. You know what I mean? There's a lot of dirty tactics that were played out there.
Oh, it's totally fine
in the very past couple days of the primary.
Well, I told you.
And like I said, we're not going to get into commenting about that kind of stuff, but you know, people will speak for us and they will speak loudly.
I'm gonna write a mini series, bro.
Dude. So here's a great story. Funny shit you say that. So my buddy Joe Hosey, he wrote a good book on Drew Peterson, because he was really the
wow. Okay.
Yeah, no, he was really like the lead, probably investigative journalist that was on that case.
Oh.
He's done more work on that case than anybody I've ever seen in my life, right? And so Joe wrote a book about that situation, and I remember telling him, I said, man, we should write a book about Joliet and the surrounding areas. God, it would be a New York Times bestseller. You know, so it's always been one of the things I've talked about doing because I think that it's important to really tell the broader picture of the story.
If we take the storyline with all the characters and all the players and all the random people that come in and out of the situation, this is 8, 9, 10 seasons worth of like a new version of Orange is the New Black for Netflix.
That's the real world.
Yeah, but we give it some like political spin, like The West Wing was a phenomenal show, right? And like all those things. This could be, and on Netflix, you can have, boobs and stuff.
Yeah.
Shout out to young men everywhere.
See, here you go. I mean, you got to start talking about wanting to have strippers in the building.
Well, I mean, if they're going to accuse it, we're going to say it. But man,
they have accused us of some wild stuff.
We got something special today, my friend.
We do have someone special today here. I want to talk about a couple things. We finally got our sponsorship packages put together, so we're going to get those emails returned. I sent out a blast of emails earlier to people who had wrote in and wanted to know what kind of options they had. So now that you have that stuff together, I'm going to send those out via email. So if you guys are watching, you'll get them. You probably get them tomorrow. I would say I'm going to blast them out. And then we do have a new sponsor. I don't want to release their information.
I know. I want to.
He's great. They're a family-owned business out of downtown Plainfield. They do a lot of great work with the community and with
huge work, actually. Actually groundbreaking work
with families and stuff like that that really need their help. But we're going to get into that next week. Probably going to see their picture everywhere too. But hey,
yeah, it's how sponsorships work. Just kidding. You got a new toy. I get to. That was the perfect timing. guys, this is how I got to tell you, Jay Vee is a very fast study. He's had this thing sitting in front of him for all of 4.5 minutes, and he nailed it. Perfect timing. You're a great student of the arts, my friend. Wiggity, wiggity, whack. All right.
So let's bring on our newest partner here at the 815 Has Problems, Terry Martin. And Terry has done a lot of work in the community with broadcast news and with his own podcast with sports and stuff like that. So why don't you go ahead and say hi, Danny?
Well, that was take him back off screen. Hang on a second, Terry.
What a dick.
Hang on. Take him back off screen for a second. Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud at the 815 to announce a phenomenal partnership with one of our newest contributors and an incredible person and member of the community, not only with a sports background, but guys, we are growing and expanding our market. Our 815 Media Group is growing. A lot of contributors starting to join us, actually. And let's bring on a local legend, the man, the myth, Mr. Time himself. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Terry Martin to the 815.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if I like being called Mr. Time, dude. When you get this much gray in your beard, you don't want to think about that. Just saying,
Dude, wrong button, wrong time.
I know.
Damn it. Terry, I had to give you a proper introduction there. I'm sorry, brother. I've been a fan. I started digging in.
I feel like Danny could be the ring announcer for WWF.
First of all, it's WWE. Let's not get us sued by the World Wildlife Fund, please, bro.
Vince McMahon's got enough problems. He ain't worried about me.
I'm not worried about them.
I'm worried or something. Yeah.
I'm worried about Alan Scott Key from the. I'm worried about Sir Alan Scott Key from the World Wildlife Fund, my friend. That's why the WWF changed it.
Calling you Captain Lou from now on. You're Captain Lou Albano, Danny.
That's amazing. I've never been called that before. I've gotten the Iron Sheik.
Get you some.
There's a first time for everything, dude.
We'll get you some rubber bands for your goatee.
Terry, man, what's up? Tell us all about what you got going on. Welcome to the show. What are your thoughts?
Terry's live in our newsroom down in Moments today. Terry, we've got a situation that has unfolded over the past couple of days with a triple homicide in Crete. And so can you bring us up to speed on what you got on that?
Yeah, this is from the Chicago Tribune website. This is where I'm getting this information from. If you guys want to go look at it yourself, it's from the Trib. So just go look. Dateline, Crete Township. Jenna Strobel, 30, of St. John, Indiana, was charged with first-degree murder Monday in the murder triple homicide of 32-year-old Jacob Lambert and his parents Stacy Ford, 54, and Patrick Ford, 55, according to the Will County Sheriff's Office. Strobel had an on-again, off-again relationship with Lambert, the Sheriff's Office said in a statement, and they had children together. The three victims were found dead early Monday morning in their home in the 3400 block of East Norway Trail in Crete Township after a well-being check was requested by a concerned family member, according to the Sheriff's Department. Lambert was found dead in the car in the driveway while the Fords were found dead inside their home. Strobel was arrested in her home in St. John, Indiana, and is currently being held in Lake County Jail pending extradition to Illinois, according to the Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office said that Strobel gave incriminating statements during the interviews, and that a gun was recovered by deputies that had matched the type used in the homicides.
Terry, it sounds like this was a domestic violence situation. I believe one of the people was found deceased in the vehicle in their driveway.
That's what we just read in the news article here. Yeah.
That's
it
wild.
does sound like it was a domestic thing. Anybody who's ever been through a divorce knows sometimes they get a little testy. It sounds like one of the members of this one took it a little too far.
Yeah, I can tell you through my own experience, and he's sitting right over there. But it does get testy, man, and those things can get wildly out of control.
Well, here's the question: Terry, was this premeditated? Does it appear that this was premeditated?
They haven't announced that yet, Danny, and I don't want to speculate.
Okay, sure. I was curious if they had said anything.
They said a lot, but not a lot. Does that make sense?
It does, but that's like the crazy part about creating narratives. And, and guys like us too, and we talk to large audiences. It's like you want to be a little bit more, precise on this, because I hate to even bring this up because there's people that have passed in the situation, but there's a big difference between crime of passion versus premeditated.
Absolutely.
What are the terms? There's somebody in the driveway. And this sucks all around, right? And
for background,
yeah.
Premeditated is what would be considered murder in the first degree.
Right.
That's when you plan something.
Right.
If you have a revolver and you fire 8 shots, now it becomes murder in the first degree because you had to reload the revolver. You took a specific action. But if it was just a crime of passion, that's second degree murder or manslaughter. That's the way this breaks down.
Got you. Okay. So those are always the things that throw me off on how those break down, because when they don't come out, like when they have all that you said, they found the weapon, right, that was used. They
found a weapon of the same type.
A weapon of the same
type.
And
they were later able to confirm.
Thank you for that correction.
They were later able to confirm that weapon was used in the triple homicide.
This news article from the Trib is 2 hours old, and it's not in this information here. But it's
I was reading that on the sheriff's department.
They have to do all the ballistics and all that, right?
They said they believed that it was the one. I was reading the sheriff's department statement yesterday.
We'll see.
And they were saying something like that.
Believed versus accurate on that one.
Sure.
But
I mean, it's like very, very sad regardless.
Terry, what are your thoughts on the fact that, so this is a conversation that this kind of just quickly started between the three of us, right? What are your thoughts on this? I've always had this opinion that when you show up to a crime scene, something of that nature, you don't give statements, you don't give comments until you get everything figured out and handled before you start doing things to the press. What are your thoughts on this?
I believe in the rights of freedom of information and the First Amendment. However, when you're investigating something, you got to hold stuff back because that little detail might be the one that incriminates the guilty party.
Right.
So, you can't just talk about a blue car leaving the scene. You have to talk about a car leaving the scene, and then when somebody says, "Well, it was a blue car," then they saw the right thing.
I'm with that.
So they have to withhold some information just for accuracy's sake and to assist in the investigation.
Is there a scenario? Because we're obviously huge proponents, all three of us, of First Amendment, journalists' rights. The ability to be able to ask questions. Is there a realistic, time frame or like a clock that can be put on? Hey, the police are here. This investigation is starting, and now we have this amount of time before we're obligated to release some kind of progress report or status report.
For example, there was a murder here in Momence about 12 years ago at a Burger King.
Okay.
They still have not released all the information on that because the murder has still not been solved. They do.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, I think also I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
that's okay. They don't have anybody in custody. They don't have a suspect that they can pin this on. So they can't release all that information until they do. Now, once they do have somebody and they've arrested him and they've arraigned him and he or she's gone through the legal process, then we'll get that information. But until then, they have to keep it close to the vest until the investigations run its course.
Because they can compromise, right?
And I think that the Nancy Guthrie case kind of shows you there how they hold a lot of stuff to their chest and they don't release a lot of things. But then the other side of that is when you're working with the federal government and they're not working with each other, it just kind of makes that whole investigation, which is not the case here, but it just makes kind of those situations a little bit more difficult because you've got different agencies involved along the way, all trying to get the same mission accomplished, right? But they're just it's so many different interagencies. And here, I was surprised that they didn't call the Grundy or the Will County Major Crimes Task Force in to kind of oversee it because it was so big. So,
well, to your point, JV, about the federal stuff, the federal government doesn't indict unless they're 99% certain it's going to go to trial and get a guilty verdict. So that's why there's so many government federal level investigations out there that have not been closed because they're not confident they're going to win. But the local stuff like this, it's a little different dynamic because there are neighbors that they want to know what happened. There are friends, they want to know what happened. There are family members who are suffering that want to know what happened. So that's why the dynamic at a local level is a little different than the federal level.
That local level statement really is like the key takeaway I want to take from this, because people forget what local community really is when we start dealing with all this large scale stuff. Like we just came out of this election. This is the first election cycle I've ever really been through, right? And the one thing that I noticed is no matter what. Oh,
come on, you're older than 18.
active in the party.
Okay, all right.
Sorry,
all right.
Active in the party. Man, bro, I remember being a kid at Sacred Heart Grade School and Clinton beat Bush. It was hysterical. Bush beat Clinton the second time. The joke was, why is Bill Clinton so happy? Because he got sandwiched between two bushes. That's when you needed to hit the button. That's wrong one.
Wrong one.
No, it says a lot, but like locally focusing is where I notice we don't do anymore as communities. Like there aren't the general purpose of a group of an inner community like Joliet or Aurora or Homer Glen or whatever. We've lost the ability to be connected as a community as it is. And that's what I think is actually ramping these things up.
I think part of that is the way media has changed as it's progressed. It used to be every town had a paper.
Sure.
and you would go to your local paper and get that information. And then it became a county-wide paper, but those are being bought up by bigger and bigger entities, and the local angles are shrinking because of it. And it's kind of a shame that that's happening.
Did Shaw, which is the Herald News and stuff, did they pull out of Kankakee? Did they?
What they did is they bought the Kankakee Daily Journal out.
Okay, I couldn't remember what
And
the
then
situation was.
their first maneuver was to fire 3/4 of the staff.
Well, it's one way to save money. I mean, well, you got to think of it.
It's
back
one
in
way
the
to
day,
control a narrative.
I remember back in the day when the newspaper was an afternoon newspaper, and the paper boys would get off school and they would go get the papers. And
it was a
Jesus
daily
Christ,
thing.
dude! How old are you?
Dude, I know I look
I'm
good
not
for
that
my
old.
age. I look good for my age. What can I tell
He
you?
looks better for your age. I'm just kidding.
No, but back in the day, that's how the afternoon newspaper went, right? And then they went to
Absolutely, and they went to press and they printed those things out. Like 9 o'clock in the morning. They were on the trucks going out to be distributed.
I used to deliver them. That's how I know that I used to deliver. I was on
What
the
does
truck
that
delivering
say,
them.
though? Because we are literally living in the most connected time in the history of the planet, and we are at the most disconnected from each other as a community.
Well, I think there's a lot of disinformation out there. I think a lot of people say a lot of things that aren't just necessarily true.
It's not. There's more to it than that, JV. For example, the big three pseudo news networks, Fox, MS Now, and CNN, they get less than 2% of the population's viewing. So you throw in ABC, NBC, and CBS, that's less than 5%. That's less than 7% of the public who wants information, getting it from what would have been called traditional sources.
Sounds like the Republican Party turnout numbers in the King County primaries, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's because it's they're just not getting from those traditional sources anymore. Now they're going to social media more. They're going to X. They're going to Facebook. TikTok has become a news outlet somehow, and it shouldn't be. We need more information. We need better information. We need local information because that's going to affect your life more than what's going on in Washington. I'm sorry.
No, I completely agree, and that's the whole. I guess should we say the message and mission that we're doing in our part of Will County in Aurora, throughout the rest of the city of Aurora is our focus and our mission moving forward with this next season, if you will, going into, and I'm talking about seasons, not politics. We're talking spring, summer, fall. We are re-engaging in our community. And we've recently started being, participating with a lot of local community leaders that are from different parties, people that were literally opposed of each other a year ago. Yeah. And now all of a sudden we're all doing events together. And we're trying to get back to the root of our internal community, right? This is a very easily replicated model. It just takes people to actually get up and stop talking about it and go out and engage. It's like when parents complain and say, why don't you go play outside instead of playing video games? Same thing. Why don't you go and meet people instead of chatting and talking to people through a Facebook media group or a township
if you
page?
If you can find his books, Danny, Scott Galloway, he's a PhD. He addresses a lot of this in his books. I really highly recommend you go read up on Scott Galloway.
You're making me read?
Well, I'm sorry, man.
We hired this guy to make me read?
Some things just kind of filter down as you grow old.
Do they have a Cliff Notes version with crayons for Danny?
I got a recommendation. Everybody that's in a community situation that wants to start actually developing and growing inside your towns, your community, your schools, your whatever, there's one book you should read. And I've brought this up on your show. I'm sorry, because that episode never aired. My bad. The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell.
I'll go look it up.
Phenomenal.
I'll go look it up.
I'll read that. You read yours. Let's combine notes.
All right. Well,
I like that.
So there's a couple other things we want to talk about here, and this was a big discussion on our Facebook page when Danny had posted a thing about Steve Balich and some racist comments that he had made a few years ago, or I think it was back in 2022, if we're being honest. And the funny thing is, he's actually came on our podcast prior to. He was
allegations.
Yeah, no. With the allegations, we'd brought him on. He sat here, and then we took all of that stuff down because we couldn't verify from other guests that were there and other co-hosts what was real, what was not real. And so, in our responsibility, and we are very responsible, we'd rather just sacrifice all of that content and be knowing that we're on the right track than having to put stuff out there that we're going to have to defend in every different matter.
Yeah, because a lot of that stuff was badly founded. Before we go into the Steve Ballard story, just because this is where it's going to start clipping up and start getting very interesting, because we have thoughts and opinions on this. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the 815 Has Problems podcast, Brian, can you bring up that image real quick? And Miss Bianca? Oh, it didn't take up our whole screen on it.
No, it won't. That's what they can see, though.
No, it will, because they're badasses here at the Audio Hive. There it is. We are officially open to sponsorships. We touched on this earlier. We have a new sponsor we're going to be announcing next week. However, here is the answer. A lot of you have sent us private messages on our on our Facebook page and our accounts. We've sent emails. We are starting to accept our sponsorships and our local sponsors, both community businesses, places looking to have live podcasts done for special events, whether it's a grand opening or a special sale, an event at your local community events that you would like to have sponsored and featured. Reach out to us. We will give you our menu. We are not only working with all of our local community budgets, we also are doing a lot of philanthropy with it. So schools, school districts.
That's what I was going to get to. Yeah, so absolutely.
Hit us up with all that, because we're going to do that part for you on the house as a community.
We can do something like that. I want to make sure that we're putting that out there. That we want to do, like, if community events. If you're having, like, I don't want to. I know this kind of sounds ridiculous, like a food drive or stuff like that.
A food drive, a block party,
or if we're having like the donations for the kids, give them.
Is there a subdivision doing a massive, everybody on the block doing a garage sale kind of a thing?
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, no. Is someone doing?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good expending of our energy, Danny. But what about like fundraisers for schools? That
no, 100%. So if people are doing school fundraisers, or if the local grade schools, they're all in this competition for the who's going to sell the most cookies. All of them, give us all your information. We're going to put you on lists everywhere that someone is local. We're going to tell them where to buy their cookies.
So, for example, Momentum School District is doing their Mulch Madness. They're selling mulch as a fundraiser. They're calling it Mulch Madness, which is
genius, actually.
A great play on words.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Momentum Athletic Boosters. So yeah, absolutely, go look up Mulch Madness from Momentum Athletic Boosters. It's fun.
I love that. And there's another part of this little piece of this puzzle that we haven't got out, and we're going to elaborate a little bit on it right now. But it's still in the works. We don't have anything like in concrete right now. But what our goal is
no, I know exactly. No,
go ahead. You want to take it?
No, we're not even going to talk about it. It's not officially done yet, but something is happening. No, something
big is happening, and okay.
No, it'll be local. We're talking about just some permanent spacing, but
that's Danny's polite way of saying shut the fuck up. It's
going to be something community based that we actually sponsor. You're going to like this, Terry. And it's not going to be sponsored. It's not going to be something that's based off of one entity or another, or one group or another. It's actually going to be something that's just dedicated for community education, not inclusion, even education, because you have to be a little educated to be included.
You do,
and you can't talk if you don't know the facts on any side of anything. And you'll really like that project. We do have a sponsor in place for that. One that's already committed a year's worth of a lease. We can say that much.
Okay.
We have a lease already donated, 1 year of a lease for this location. We're just going over some logistics.
Gotta love that.
Isn't that insane?
There you go.
That's the local community giving back.
Yeah.
Now,
and if you have something you want to tell us, please send us a message on Facebook. Jay Vee posted the other day we're wanting to highlight local area athletes.
Sure.
Great. Send us not just their name in a message, a link to the high school stats page or the IHSA page so we can source that information. I'm really big on sourcing information. I'm never going to say this is what I know. I'm going to tell you I got this from ABC7 or wherever.
To expand on that real quick, Terry. Right now, I'm trying to look for female and male athletes in the Lincoln Way area. If anybody's watching, it's out in the New Lenox area. So I'm trying to get that little area covered. I have the Joliet stuff down that I think I need. I'm just kind of going back and forth on that. And then if you could help out with the Kankakee stuff, Bradley stuff, I know that people are posting on our page, stuff like that. So I'm actively trying to figure out all of the athletes from the Lincoln Way district that we want to feature, like baseball, softball, volleyball, basketball, wrestling, whatever it may be. And so I'm getting there.
It's funny you bring up wrestling, because we were going to, we brought this up a little bit, but if anyone in the audience can actually help with this, I'll reach out to the community on this one. We're looking to put together a 1 week long wrestling camp for potential high school wrestling athletes. So we want to do that in the summer. We've talked to a couple of schools already in the area to use their facilities.
Okay.
We have insurance in place and ready for it, but we're looking for a couple of volunteers, maybe a couple local community coaches, or maybe some local community businesses that'll sponsor it. We want to be able to provide. Obviously, it's going to be like a custom uniform for the week. We have a couple of pretty big NCAA guys that we want to bring in. We have to do their accommodations, hotels, flights,
right, I love
etc. So I'd love to get the community involved on that. That information will be coming on our soon-to-be launched website as well.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Nice. I love it.
Let's go and segue back. And the reason why I want to bring up the sponsorship right before we go to this subject is because now we're going to get a little testy. The Balich, excuse me, Balich. I said it wrong. My bad, buddy. The what's his first name?
Steve.
The Steve Balich situation. I don't know. I've seen. I never even met him, but I saw him one time. I was at there's a buzz in my ear.
I hear it.
You hear that buzz
I can
too?
hear it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey Brian, I don't know if you hear that in your.
I think someone's like vacuuming down the hall or
in your cans. Yeah, it sounds like a ground buzz. But I saw this guy at the Will County meeting, and he gets up and he made a speech. He accused somebody of being a Democrat. That's whatever.
I cannot imagine a situation where Steve Balich got up and accused someone of something.
No, but it's funny.
Shitting me?
He made it sound like he presented himself like he was Joe Pesci in the Goodfellas movie. It was kind of funny, but I got to be honest with you. I kind of liked it. I'm like, I wish I could have liked what you were saying because it was funny. Right?
I interviewed the guy. Trust me.
Did you? Oh my God.
I got the whole fucking Goodfellas.
But let's be real here. As members of different communities, and you have a Hispanic background, I'm Middle Eastern, anyone listening of any ethnic background, in our own groups, we have our own levels of things we tolerate, groups to stereotype, because the excuse that people are saying that it's okay for him to have used allegedly per that post that we posted on our page, and I guess there's a video of it, to use a full-blown racial slur, not a stereotype, not a funny black joke or a funny, Arab joke.
Is there any funny black jokes, though?
There's a ton of funny jokes.
Have you not watched In Living Color, Jay Vee?
Oh my God, there's a ton of funny black jokes. Did you see this video I posted yesterday?
You guys are too much.
This video that I posted the other day, I pulled up on this guy at the gas station, this black dude.
I did see that. Yeah.
He was this black dude was at the gas station pumping gas, and he just had a shirt on, but he was all big and swole. And I pulled up on him with my camera. I'm like, hey man, why you gotta be a prick? You're making us fat guys look bad. And we had a fun laugh. It was pretty funny, Terry. And then right after the camera went off, hand to God, guys. And he told me I can talk about this. He goes, I actually just got back from swimming class. I go, what? Wait, what? He goes, yeah, I'm learning how to swim. I go, that's a wild thing to say as a black guy in the middle of the day on a Saturday. We started cracking up laughing because the joke is black guys can't swim.
Right, but we should only learn how to swim on Mondays and for Thursdays. What do you mean on a Saturday? What's Saturday have to do with it?
I was just throwing we were just, you bust balls, you have some fun. But yeah, absolutely. There's funny racial jokes all over the place. You can, that's what comedy is. That's what even being like an old fashioned, you want to say, oh, that's my culture, I'm old fashioned. Okay, you can feel a little certain type of way in a community or a group. But you are running for office. You're in office, dude.
Yeah, but
we can't be throwing out N-bombs.
The way I am is another way to say I'm an asshole.
I'm so sorry. What was that?
Saying that's my culture and that's the way I am is another way of saying I'm an asshole. You can't use that as a blanket.
It's a cop-out.
Yeah, no. Own up to who you are. If you're an idiot, just be an idiot and let the chips fall where they may. And if you want to call somebody else an idiot, if you want to call me an idiot, call me an idiot. Don't call the 815 idiots because you're going to make Jay Vee and Danny bad. Call out that person, not a group. I hate generalizations. Don't
tell me about it, right?
Well,
no, that's what cracks me up because that's my story here. Like, we're talking about someone in an elected position, and then it's my bigger issue is not even that. It's anyone that says, well, that's just how they are and we accept them as that.
That's wild to me.
That's the wild part. Yeah. Okay, that's how you are. I get it. I know I grew up in Melrose Park. I know a bunch of older Italian guys that have that mentality.
Over by there.
Yeah.
Over by there. Yeah. I know Melrose Park over by there really well.
Yeah. Over there with the guy in the thing. And, this guy, this freaking mooly, he came on the block. But these people are also some of the nicest, sweetest ever. They're not actually racist. That's how they are, right? I'm with that. But how is that as a community where you say, oh, no, we're okay with that. They're just They're just a racist person. We're fine with it.
I think what it is, Danny, I think the community got tired of fighting with them about it, so they're just going to let them go.
Right. But you don't say we're fine with it and then we're just going to ignore it as long as we get to keep our power in our place. This is public service.
So
this is public service.
Okay, this is culture is what this is. So there's a culture of people within that Will County Republican Central organization that have those feelings. And it's okay for Adam.
Yeah,
I mean, if they want, we are the United States of America. We are the free.
Sure.
We are the free people. You are more than welcome to have your freedom to believe how you want.
Anyway.
Well, all right. So
I knew I like you, Terry.
My thing is this, right? If that's their feeling and that's their, what they think. I mean, I don't agree with them, obviously, but I also don't like the fear campaigns that they that they try to go after. Like I noticed one of those people posted, if you're on a podcast or if you're on this, you better watch what you say and you better have proof. Dude, none of that means shit to me.
None of it.
And here's why. We're not going to live in a situation where everyone should be scared to exercise their First Amendment rights. It's not going to happen. It shouldn't happen. And this is the United States of America.
Afro Man is my hero.
Thank you. But the point I'm making is that we send out these messages of fear. You better not say anything. You better do this. You better look. Just because you had to testify against your friends and lost, that's not my problem.
Exactly.
That's not my problem. But don't try to scare everyone else into compliance.
No, here's what's going to happen.
That drives me fucking insane.
The reason why you have the problems that you have right now is because you guys tried to do too much of the shut up, don't ask, do as I say, not as I do mentality BS. And that's on both sides of all this overlord control BS.
It is.
Terry.
Here's my position on this. Honestly, if you look at the demographics, about a third of people are staunch Republican supporters, and about a third of people are staunch Democratic supporters. And there's a third in the middle that basically are left unrepresented because the two parties keep pushing a little farther to the right and to the left, respectively. And back to my deal about generalizations. I know Democrats that are Second Amendment supporters.
100%.
So you can't say that all Democrats.
Danny and I had this conversation that if you think back to even the era of the Clintons, Democrats back then were a more moderate.
Yeah,
there are moderate conservative Democrats. You
Absolutely.
know what I mean?
There are liberal conservatives. I'm conservative. I'm a fiscal conservative. But let's smoke some weed. Sorry,
let him finish.
Back to Bill Maher says it best. I already vote the way you want me to vote. What more do you want from me?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and the extreme keeps wanting to push it farther, one way or the other. And they're leaving more and more people like myself in the middle being unrepresented. And it's honestly, Washington is getting farther and farther afield, and they're no longer. It's like that thing I shared on the group the other day about Delta shutting down Congress's service desks.
Yeah.
What does Congress have a service desk dedicated just to them for?
Tell me about it. That's a little much. So it's like, hey, hire a travel agent. They can take care of everybody in Congress. You don't need a desk at it.
Half of them are flying on private jets anyway. I didn't know they even flew on.
That was like the equivalent of Adam Schiff having a tent at CNN or something like that.
Well, I don't know if you read the article. In the article, they mentioned that they can fall back on their frequent flyer miles. Wait a minute, they get miles and a service desk?
And free airfare, right? Because the government just pays it.
See, that's why public service has turned into a freaking business.
It's for profit these days.
And it shouldn't be. Very few politicians above, let's say, library board, school board level are doing it for altruistic reasons. They're doing it because they have an angle. They want to work an angle. And this goes back to the 2010 Supreme Court case of Citizens United, when the court ruled, and rightfully so, that corporations and special interests have the right to the First Amendment freedom of speech that all of us do. Unfortunately, the way corporations and these special interest groups have decided to exercise this is by throwing financial support behind whatever politician they want.
Sure.
And it's no longer about we the people. I honestly believe in my heart politicians are only interested in us during the election cycle, and that's just to get us to vote.
Okay,
once the election's over, they're going to be right back to what they want to do.
Terry, I have said this on the air, and I literally just said this to somebody yesterday who I know is watching because he's a part of a group of people that are literally watching my every move. Dun, dun, dun.
You sound a little paranoid, Danny.
You see what they do?
No, verification. I had a meeting with one of them yesterday. I called him out. I said, let's meet. So let me wait till this freaking loop ends. My God.
Oopsie.
So I've said this, Terry, big time, and I've said this to Republicans more than anyone else. My issue with Republican candidates and the way that they operate is the party, like you said, they'll show up around election time. They'll come up to you and say, hey, Terry, I'm Danny. I'm a Christian. I'm a Republican. I'm a family man. Vote for me. And hey, I need some money. Every election cycle, no miss. But in between, there's nothing. No contact, no relationship, no keeping up, nothing. So it's basically like walking up to a woman in the bar and saying, hey, I'm Danny. Nice to meet you. Let's bang.
There's no service to the community either. And so like
it's so fake.
You're a public servant, not a...
It's kind of like J.B. Pritzker was in Roma Park last week. Only because the tornado touched down. Otherwise, he wouldn't have known where Roma Park is.
Exactly. There's no...
Well, and just let's be honest. So
there's no Arby's over there, JV. There's no honest nothing.
The Republican candidate for governor has been there too. Like they all pop up to make a photo op when that poor young girl got killed down in Moments, actually, right? Was it Moments or
State Line?
Yeah, State Line there. They were down there to make sure they get their photo op and make sure that their people pushing them out there to, look at us. We're here at a funeral, for Christ's sake. Like if you can't go to a funeral without getting your picture taken there, don't go to the funeral.
It's like
they never met a camera they didn't like.
Exactly. They never met a crisis they couldn't handle.
Yeah.
Here, you want to laugh, Terry? We did an event recently in Aurora, as the Aurora GOP, and we called it an evening of honor. Instead of, all these Republican organizations doing the Lincoln Day dinner, Lincoln Day, right? We wanted to do something different to actually get the community involved. So we did a night to honor veterans. Other than the candidates, no Republicans from our county GOP showed up. Guess who showed up? The Democrats and the vets and the military vets. And we did the presentation. I ran the keynote. We had a Medal of Honor winner as our keynote speaker. We surprised a former Marine, a Marine vet that helped me organize everything. 'Cause I'm not that into, I don't know all the context for everybody, so he helped. And when we gave him his special honoree award of the night, he didn't know this, but we go, hey, Mike, your daughter's been sitting 2 tables behind you. And he busted out, almost got the guy to tears. Almost. It was so close. Beautiful moment. And all these Democrats came up to us and said, we had no idea you guys were so into the community and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting here, what an embarrassment. What an embarrassment on all government leaders.
That goes back to they don't care and generalizing. And we got to stop doing those two things. We got to stop generalizing, and we got to start caring at the government level, not just when the camera's around.
And we have to stop voting lesser of 2 evils. That we got into this mess voting lesser of 2 evils
don't
for
get
generations.
It's a great topic. So Terry, I made a post today, was it today? No, it was yesterday. I made a post on my Facebook, and I called it light bulbs versus razor blades. That's the situation that we're in. What do I want to eat? Razor blades or light bulbs? And it's, I'm going to represent our party. I'm going to stand with my party that, I choose to stand with. But I'm going to have, it's like we had the choice to eat steak or lobster or crab. And then all of a sudden you gave us light bulbs as a choice.
It's like, and I hear this a lot because we all know that Democrats don't like the current president at all, period.
I don't know. Whatever
sure, but they also can't stand the current governor.
Well, but they always say half of America voted him and half America is racist. No, actually, if you look at the numbers, only about a third of us voted him in. Not a half the country. Half the country isn't racist. And of that third that did vote him in, I'm going to say less than 10% are racist. It's too convenient to throw that blanket over it, and it 100%. Doesn't get anything done. I think they want us fighting, because if we're fighting, we're not watching them.
Yeah, correct. 100%.
I've always said that. I say that all the time. I say that if they've got some, if everyone's focused over here, what's going on over here? Because I'll intentionally go look at a news cycle on a Friday afternoon when something's going crazy, like we're all looking at something else.
Yeah.
If you ever go look, Friday afternoon is when they dump all of the shit they don't want anybody to know. I told
my 32-year-old daughter that if you want to find out what's going on, read the Washington Post on a Friday afternoon. Absolutely.
Yep.
It's wild because this goes back to what we were saying. Like when we shed light on something, these people freak out, almost like when you turn on the light and the cockroaches run. Okay, they tried to do all this intimidation, shut people up. People like the three of us, people like podcasters all over, or citizen journalists. Can you imagine people trying to shut up Nick Shirley?
Oh, they're trying.
No, from our own party, trying to shut up Nick Shirley. You know what I mean? Like, how ridiculous.
Well,
so it's when we have to. You're right about this, Terry. But on an overall, we have to have a light shed on what we're doing ourselves. Because if we can't hold ourselves accountable as individuals, as humans, and then as a family, as a local community, then as a county, then as a state, it all starts at that root core of us individually, and then community. It's almost like we're being dictated and governed from up here, and some guy sitting in an executive boardroom is looking at a spreadsheet of what's happening in the sales field instead of coming out and seeing what's happening. You know?
I hate to sound like I'm a conspiracy theorist guy, but it's almost like there's a small cabal making all these decisions, and it's just filtering down to the political level, and it's no longer about we the people. It's about us, the politicians, and it shouldn't. The words career and politician should never be used in conjunction ever.
Agreed.
I mean, if the president can only serve 2 terms, what's the problem in the House and Senate? That's how we've gotten stuck in this rotating.
Going back even farther, the majority of people in America do want term limits. Congress just will not bring a bill about term limits onto the floor ever because it hurts them. It's like the voter ID thing going on right now. It's like 68% of Americans are in favor of this, and that's Democrats, Republicans, Independents. That's black, whites, Hispanics. That's whatever. 68% of Americans are in favor of these voter IDs, and the Democrats are stating what they're stating. Here, let's compromise. This is the problem that's going on in Washington, in my opinion, and at the state level as well. There's no compromise. It's all one way or all the other. What I would like to see done with the voter ID thing, fine. You're worried about people not having the means to get to an ID place or having the means to purchase the ID. Make the IDs 100% free. The government will pay for them.
Fixed.
Election day, 1,000% a holiday. Nobody works whatsoever. You get here, we'll get you here. They provide public transportation to polling places and same-day registration. There's your compromise, same-day registration. Once you show me the proper IDs that show me that you live at 211 North 1st Street, until you show me that ID, you cannot vote.
But everyone else has those in the world. You know what I mean? It's not like we're just being racist because
I need a license to catch a fish, Jay
Right,
Vee.
Exactly. So my point being is like,
I need a license to catch a fish.
It's so stupid. It's
You do.
stupid.
You can't look like Jesus and make fish jokes.
So
You have to, the two things you really should be licensed for the most, to vote the government in and to be a parent, are the 2 things you don't need a license for.
man,
Isn't that wild?
it is wild. And so when you talk about all of these different, protections for different classes and all of the things that we need to get done, let me just say this. We're in the middle of a gubernatorial race here, and everyone wants you to think that all you have to do is just stand up, be red, go vote for Darren, and the whole world's going to change. And none of them understand what the 2 words.
It won't matter if
Hold
you don't
on, super majority. There is a super majority in Springfield. You know what that means?
To Terry's point,
that's been going on for a long time, Jay.
right? But to Terry's point,
Look at Rauner. Look at Rauner.
To Terry's point, the super majority and all that crap
That was my
is
point.
all being done at that political governmental level. The citizens of this freaking state, we're all right here. The vast majority of us are all right here together in the middle. Like, what the hell's going on?
Right, but they're spending so much money on the governor's seat, knowing that he can't do shit if he gets elected.
It's a big circle. It's a big circle.
And the gerrymandering that's going on is insane. The gerrymandering is completely crazy.
Yeah.
And gerrymandering, for those boys and girls that don't understand it, is where the politicians choose who's going to vote for them instead of the voters choosing for the politicians.
Guys, for those of you a little bit more from the streets, that's like us getting to pick our own jury. Okay.
Well, you do get to pick your own jury.
No, you don't. I didn't get a jury of my peers in Michigan. I don't know anybody in Michigan.
Well, within reason, your attorney's supposed to go, well, we don't like this guy because he just called Danny fat, so we can't put him on the jury. That's the way they do it.
I got him to start talking shit.
They call us the Weight Watchers podcast for a reason.
Who does?
So your people, your friends.
That's the generalization we were talking about. I'm 6'4" and 190 pounds. I'm not fat, sir.
Well, there you go. See, this we're talking about the people from the fake accounts. They like that
generalization.
You're 6'4". God bless you, man.
So
I have this. I have someone that just made a comment here because we're getting towards the end, and I want to show everybody this the sponsorship one more time. But yeah, if you guys can bring that comment up on screen, I'd like you to address this, Terry, because you're a very smart guy. So this is one of our watchers, and they said, I was a Democrat. I voted Republican for the first time when Rauner ran for governor. I never voted for a Democrat again in my life. But here's the thing. I still have the same core values and beliefs. I didn't change. The party changed.
100%.
The party went farther left because the extreme left keeps pulling it farther to the left. And even if somebody in the Democratic Party speaks out against the far left agenda, they minimalize them by labeling them.
Well, I mean, if you look at Fetterman's pretty far left, and they went after him just for using common sense. You know what I mean?
I don't see Fetterman as far left.
He started off that way, but he's more balanced with his reasoning now. I actually like John Fetterman.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with either. I'm just saying, though, if you look at where he started.
The governor of Pennsylvania, Shapiro. I like that guy a lot, too. He's a Democrat, but he's like Fetterman. He's a common sense individual.
Right.
Before,
you know who I really like in Illinois as a Democrat that I would love to see be the mayor of, yes, I'm saying this, the mayor of Chicago. I'm saying it publicly. If there was no good Republican candidate for the people, I would totally stand behind Alderman Raymond Lopez, 15th Ward Alderman.
If he'd ever run, but I don't know if that's the case.
Tell me about it. He should. He's a Democrat, full-blown homosexual. No, he is. That's
Lord.
He said it on my podcast. I interviewed him.
Could you not get us sued by an alderman now?
No, he says it. That's a guy.
It'll be a really short case, Jay Vee.
That's a guy that's extremely conservative on fiscal conservative values. The actual nuclear family. Funny enough, with him being gay, he understands that. Responsible spending, smaller government, but he's going to let someone get an abortion if he wants. Okay. Cool. How are we operating as a freaking community? And that's where I'm at.
It's not my place to judge somebody if they want to have an abortion. I'm not qualified.
I just don't want to pay for it. My official position is on my if not the rate, not 815, but this legal disclaimer, not the opinion of Terry Martin or Justin Virgin or anyone else, especially no mayors or aldermans or people. This is just from my opinion.
You sure, boss?
Yeah, sure, boss. My opinion on abortion is very simple. I don't like it. Do what you want to do, boo-boo, but I also don't want to pay for it.
Well, again, that's above my pay scale. I'm not qualified.
Not my thing. I just don't want to pay for it.
Yep. That's all. I agree.
That's all I ask.
Hey, this is a great podcast. Terry's only supposed to be on for like 10, 15 minutes. We got him all the way through the podcast. It's pretty fun.
Jay Vee was texting me this morning. You can keep it under 15, right?
Yeah, right. So, guys, as you're watching, as you're listening, as you're seeing our feed, daily as we come out, any questions, any topics you guys want opinions on, thoughts, and you want to address Terry directly, please do so. He's a full admin on the page. He has access to all of our stuff. Any questions, any news stories, anything percolating that we haven't caught attention to that you would like us to get our eyes on, and a lot of you have already done this, please keep sending it in. We have, whether you want us to, myself to address it, Justin, Terry,
sure.
And then all of our...
Please add any sources of information. Don't just tell me your neighbor's burning dead babies. I need to see something,
exactly. We need proof. We need verification. We vet the heck out of our info. That's why that's why the only suit that could ever come our way is something that might maybe hypothetically say you hurt my feelings. Well, that's not a lawsuit. Sorry. But it is.
That's just you need to toughen up, baby.
Was it Suck It Up, Buttercup?
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Suck it up, Buttercup. Terry, any thoughts, any messages for the new community that you will be addressing on a regular basis? Anyone know anything about you?
Also, hold on, Lincoln Way Schools, some of your athletes. Just there is an email on our page for 815.il.news@gmail.com. If it's easier for you guys just to email the page with a list of names, please do that.
Say that again, JV.
So 815.il@gmail.com. Actually, 815.il.news@gmail.com. Sorry.
One more time.
No, it's right on our front page of our Facebook page. But if you can just, if it's easier for you guys to email me like your Lincoln Way stuff, that way I can get them all. I can get one sheet like all in one piece. I appreciate that. I will be reaching out to parents and stuff as I get the names.
A .com address is coming, and info is coming very quickly, Terry. I got you.
Yeah, if it's serious, don't put it in a comment.
Right.
Do not put it in comments. No, send it to us privately, guys.
All right. I think I'm good to go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, no, you're not. Hey, Terry, any last minute thoughts, comments for everybody?
Yes,
and then
guys,
you're like,
by the way, tell me how to do this shit after 2 years of doing this.
Any parting words, my guy?
You know what? I'm going to close this out the way I close out my podcast, the Straight Off the Couch podcast. Don't leave things unsaid. Check on those you love.
That's it.
I like that. That's like Jerry Springer at the very end of his thing. He was like,
my friend, you are one big Jerry Springer fucking show.
All right, one last time. Terry, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Bianca, if you could bring up our sponsorship flyer one last time before we rock out. Ladies and gentlemen, 815 Podcast. We are taking in our sponsors. Our page is available. Send us a message. Ask for the menu. We'll get back with you with details. And we customize this for all budgets and businesses, especially if you are in the Will County area. If you are a non-for-profit, or if you are one of the schools or children's organizations, veterans organizations, send us your information. We're glad to push it and pump it all for you as part of our community, from us to you guys. And hey, JV.
I'm good to go, man. You guys have a great week. We'll see you next Wednesday. I think we have some new guests coming up too, so we're going to get into all that.
We do, and she'll be confirming as soon as she gets back from CPAC.
10-4.
Yeah, it's the better Bailey for those of you that might know. If you know, then you know, but she'll be here.
Awesome.
Guys, live from the Hive. We'll be back next week. Pay attention to all the new media, new content coming out, and we will see you guys soon.
Later.
The Hobbit and the Blaine. The Hobbit and the Blaine.
Jesus Christ.